Hello all, my name is Tyler Hart. Thank you for coming out today. I wanted to share with you some information about a hobby of mine that is becoming more and more popular, and that is growing a vegetable garden. In the past few years, I have met more and more people that have decided to grow their own vegetables. Some are simply looking forward for something to do, but many folks are trying their hand in order to provide for their own family because of the high cost of buying fresh produce at the grocery stores and farmers markets. Not but a few decades ago, many families lived off their land. They raised cows, chickens, pigs for meat, and grew their own vegetables. With our economy changing to be more convenient for working families, people got away from the farm and began depending on grocery stores for their produce. This isn't a bad thing, but the cost of the produce has become an issue for families that are living on a tight budget. It's cheaper to buy frozen than fresh, but you miss out on the quality of eating the fresh produce. This has brought people back to the land to grow their own again. For those of you that are already growing your own garden, maybe I can provide you with something new. And for anyone who has never grown a garden before, I hope to give you enough information for you to get started. In order to grow a successful vegetable garden, it is important to know the steps to take to prepare the land, and to plant at the correct time, and to manage your crops, and to know when vegetables are ready to be harvested. I'll go through each of these 4 steps and give you some tips that I have learned over the years. When you're getting ready to start a vegetable garden, there are a few things you need to do to prepare the land. The very first thing you need to do is pull a soil sample from your garden area and have it tested by your county extension office. This soil test will let you know the pH levels in your soil. The pH level is important to know because it will tell you if you need to apply any fertilizer or any lime and how much. A bag of fertilizer here is what I'll use to put in this garden. This soil, applying these is important because you will be adding nutrients to the soil that the plants will need in order to grow and be successful in your vegetable garden. After applying the lime or fertilizer, you will want to till your garden until you have a clean soil to plant in. It is important to wait until the soil is not wet, or your soil will be clumped and hardened like cement. Tilling will clean any debris out of the soil. Once you have done this, you'll be ready to plant. And you see my tilled garden here. Before planting, it is a good idea to pre-plan what you're going to plant ahead of time. Many gardeners or farmers will plant according to the signs of the moon or certain superstitions. An example of this is planting Irish potatoes on Valentine's Day. Many gardeners also refer to the Farmer's Almanac to tell them when to plant. The Farmer's Almanac is put out each year and uses an old-fashioned timetable to tell farmers when to plant each crop for best results. It also gives you tips about how to plant each vegetable to get your best results. Some spring vegetables need to be seeded while it is still cold weather so you can have plants ready to put in the garden once the weather is warm. This way, when it is time to plant, the plants are already a quarter of the way grown, and you have a better chance of survival once they are transplanted in the garden. Some of the vegetables that are better to start growing early transplants are tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant. And I have some cabbage here and a few peppers. Other vegetables do better when planted as seed directly into the soil rather than growing them early and transplanting them. The majority of our vegetables are done this way. Examples of those are peas, corn, squash, potatoes, and zucchini. When planting, it is very important to determine the moisture level in the soil. Moisture is needed in order for the seeds to germinate or grow. If the soil is not moist, you will need to irrigate or water the garden after you plant the seeds or your transplants. Once you plant, vegetables don't just magically grow on their own. You'll need to manage your crops to make sure you produce good quality produce. First, it is important to cultivate the garden regularly to make sure your rows are free of any grass or any weeds. You can do this by using a variety of herbicides that are sprayed on the crops or the conventional method of plowing your garden or using a hoe. If weeds overtake your garden, they will steal nutrient from your plants and can choke your plants, causing them to die. Secondly, you also have to scout your garden on a regular basis for insects or pests that will destroy your plants and produce. There are certain chemicals that you can spray on your crops to prevent them, as well as get rid of any insects that still appear. A third thing you want to do to be sure and inspect is for diseases or funguses. These will usually start in one or two plants and be destroyed. If you destroy those one or two plants, you can prevent the rest of your crop from being destroyed. Usually this will fix the problem, but there also are some fungicides that can be sprayed directly on the crop. These 3 steps are very important to maintain a good, healthy crop, but there's one more thing I'd like to make sure my garden produces, and that's to reapply fertilizer at some needed time and the water on a regular basis. These steps have helped me have a successful vegetable garden with more produce than my family can eat alone. After nurturing your crops, they will mature and start putting on fruit. Several crops such as peas, tomatoes, peppers, and okra will be harvested on a daily or every other day basis in order for them to keep bearing fruit. Other crops such as corn, potatoes, and carrots will bear their fruit once harvested. Their cycle is complete. They do not continue to produce. Just as many gardeners or farmers use the Farmer's Almanac to plant their crop, or to refer to the old-timey way of looking at the phases of the moon, they will do the same when harvesting their crops. It is believed that produce harvested during certain phases of the moon will rot quicker, but if you harvest them during the correct moon phase, they will keep longer if stored properly. This is important for certain crops because if harvested and stored correctly, they will last much longer and your family can enjoy them later on in the year. Now that I've gone through the 4 steps of growing a successful vegetable garden, preparing the soil, planting, managing, and harvesting, I'll be glad to answer any questions you have. Thank you for your time, and I wish you the best of luck in growing your own garden.